to another episode of Let's Make It. And it's been a while since we had a show, and it's just been a few weeks for me. I actually had spent some time in the hospital with my wife. She was getting an infusion. That was 2 weeks ago. Week before that, I had something I had to have done between Sunday and Wednesday, and again this past week between Sunday and Wednesday. Well, Monday falls in between that, and I was working some very, very long days. So unfortunately, we had 3 weeks of no shows, but we're back, and we're actually, well, I'll put it this way, we're kind of back. Tonight's show was actually it was going to be Bob's night to show some logic chips, ANDs, ORs, things like that. And he's running a little late, I believe. He said he'd be a little bit late, but it became 9:15, and I decided to go ahead and start the show. Hopefully I can drag it out long enough so that when he calls in, we can go ahead and continue the show. And I'll take with that. Let me unmute him so I can hear him when he calls in. So anyways, sorry it's been 3 weeks. I noticed the chat room's a little bit late tonight as well, and that's because we've probably lost the momentum that we had. Unfortunately, that kind of happens whenever we miss a few weeks like this. But it does happen from time to time where we have to miss a few weeks, and we are very sorry about that. But we do appreciate you guys hanging in. We've been getting lots of emails through these last 3 weeks, and it's very appreciated. I got just 3 questions just today alone, and I haven't answered a single one of them yet. I would do that after the show tonight, start working on that. And Bob's been answering some of them as well because he knew that I was pretty out of touch for quite a while there. So if we're getting back to you slow, sorry. That's just kind of how it works with us. But you can also go to the Google Plus community. It's a great place to go and interact with other people and maybe get your answer a little faster than waiting for us as well. In fact, that's where when I reply to emails now, I'm pretty much sending people to there for answers as well. And I'll maybe even copy the email over there. Done that once or twice now, so we can communicate back and forth. But anyways, appreciate you guys hanging in there for the 3 weeks that we were kind of off here. I didn't really know until the week before it happened that it was happening, so I couldn't warn anybody ahead of time. And the thing with my wife being in the hospital was up to the hospital when they wanted her to come in to do the infusions. So I was kind of at their mercy for that as well. So it didn't work out very well for us as far as our Monday night shows. And later on in the week, we talked about doing some shows later in the week, but we decided just to wait until the following Monday, and the following Monday something happened, so we didn't have it. But we do appreciate you hanging in there, and we don't do this very often. We don't take weeks off very often, but it does happen from time to time, and I think it's the first time we've been off 2 weeks in a row, except for maybe around the holidays. I can't remember if we took the month of December off or not. But anyways, we are back, and we have a long list of things to catch up on now. We're like 3 weeks behind in our list of things. In fact, the tonight's show was Bob's list he was supposed to do 3 weeks ago before all this kind of broke loose. So I'm trying to drag this out just in case he gets a chance to call in before I do end the show. Because we don't really have much to talk about tonight because he was the show tonight. But I didn't want everybody to hang out for another week and it not knowing what's going on. So I do want to get on here and talk about what was kind of going on. I do have a bunch of cool things that I've done in the last 3 weeks, though, as well as far as development. I don't have it all ready to show you tonight, but we've developed a bunch of really neat things that I was going to show in the next couple of weeks that we were working on with the Arduinos. And the new Arduino, especially the new Intel-based Arduino, is actually pretty cool. It took a little while to get used to, but now I've gotten used to it. I actually really like it. In fact, I'm probably going to start using that as my core CPU for a lot of things now because it's so flexible. It runs on top of a Unix, a very limited version of Unix or Linux, and gives you some more features and functions that we kind of lack whenever we do things with a regular Arduino, because you can now call things that are in Unix from the standard Arduino language. So things that you couldn't do before easily, you can take and you can write them in Python, for example, in the Unix side of things, and call them from the sketch that you have. So if there's certain things that are difficult to do in the Arduino language, which there are some things, you can actually take and write it in Python, call it from inside your Arduino code, and execute it right off the Unix platform. So it's some very cool things you can do with it, and it just took some getting used to. It does require a memory card, something that we don't normally have to record a sketch, because if you don't have the memory card, if you power it off, it loses the sketch. Not a big deal, though. It's actually kind of cool other things you can do with it, because you can actually load more things into the Unix side of it and make more functions that you would not be able to do without it. The fact that it has built on Ethernet, then it's a Unix-based Ethernet. It's a much more stable Ethernet from what I found as far as if you're talking about network communications. That's kind of where I do a lot of stuff, and it's so stable. That's why I'm looking to go that route. In fact, some of these boxes that I've been making with, like this one here's one. Where's the camera? Right there. They've been using megas, and this board actually runs circles around the mega. Not only is it faster, it has more memory. It has more memory for sketches. In fact, it's all basically limited by the size of the memory card and the actual PRAM, which is huge compared to these other cards. And it's all built in one little thing. My only complaint would be is it doesn't run PoE, which some things I'm doing require PoE. So I'm still having to use an Ethernet shield or an Ethernet Arduino with a PoE on it. So I'm being cautious about how big the sketches are and everything for that. But overall, I'm pretty impressed by this little board. It took a little while to get used to because things are different. But after you work through the differences, it's actually a very cool Arduino. And I'm still playing with other things, the BeagleBone. Although what I was looking to do with the BeagleBone, I can probably do just as easy with the Arduino, and I already know it well. But the Udo is really cool as well. It's a very similar thing in how it works compared to the new Arduino, the Intel Arduino. But it's different. So it has two separate CPUs, but they communicate to each other. It's very similar to how the Intel works, where you can communicate from an application. Basically, the Arduino is an application running on top of the Linux, and you can call down into the root. So similar in ideas, very similar in how you would develop an application that's cross-platform. So I'm taking a lot of the things I was working with the Udo and trying to put them into the Arduino as well. The Udo is still a little more powerful, actually considerably more powerful, if you consider the fact that it has a 4-core CPU and a Leonardo, or not Leonardo, it would be the Arduino Do CPU, DUE. And so those are on the same board. You have the same physical as the Do. You have the 4-core, which is basically 4 times the size of a Raspberry Pi combined into one board. They communicate via serial, so it's a little different in how it communicates, but the concepts are very, very similar. So I'm taking a lot of the concepts, like I said, back and forth and playing with both of them and enjoying both of them as well. It's very cool. I was a little, well, I don't want to say disgruntled, confused with the new Arduino when I first got it. But the more I play with it, the more I like it. And it does some really neat things. And my shields work perfectly with it. The ones I developed for all these switching applications work just fine. Now, it's a different form factor, so they don't fit on the edge of a case like before. If I wanted to do a reset, I have to redesign some of my boards, but I probably don't need to do that. There are a few things that are different. There is a reset button, which resets the sketch, but there's also a reboot button, which reboots the whole thing. It doesn't boot up as fast as an Arduino, so you have to get kind of past that boot up cycle as well. So if you get past that, there's also a mini PCI or micro PCI, whatever laptop you use, that's in it as well. So if you have like a wireless PCI card that you put on your laptop, it will fit on the bottom of this thing. I haven't tried it yet, and it does have a little space at the bottom of the board as far as spacing goes, but I think that's actually kind of minor, really, compared to what the ability is to do. You could add another Ethernet card. You just almost, I can't even think of all the different things you could possibly do with it. All right, so there's a couple things I did want to cover tonight, kind of a maintenance type of thing. Again, we will love your ideas as to where you want us to go. We've gotten a couple of things here. I know one thing that we got from one of our friends in Canada was the ability to do a video output out of the Arduino, and I think Bob was working with him on that, and that's something we'd like to do here in the near future as well. We've got a long list of things we'd like to work on, but we like to have your ideas as well. And I've had some questions about things that aren't necessarily related to electronics, but more in the hacking realm, like not hacking as in breaking into things, but as learning how things work, like wireless transmissions and radios and things like that. So if that's something that interests you and you think would be good for the show, let me know, because I have some good content on how we can take like a real small $20 software-defined radio and listen to airplanes and things like that, listen to FM. And it's all, other than the $20 little stick, it's free. So if that's something you're interested in, we can include that into shows as segments. I can record them as separate segments for this show as well. So kind of let us know if you'd like to go that direction. I've actually thought about spinning it off into another show, more of the, I don't hate to use the word hacking because people think hacking is negative, but hacking is anything you can take and learn I'm not talking about doing anything, breaking anybody's computer, other than maybe teaching you a little bit how it works so you can protect yourself. Hacking is also taking things that are currently in use for something else and repurposing them, or learning how things work, like the transponders on airliners and stuff. You can actually read that through the software-defined radio application that's totally free. You just need a $20 thumb drive that's the software-defined radio device. And if that's the kind of stuff that interests you, let us know, and we can take this show direction, or maybe we start up another show that goes that kind of in that direction as well. So I do see Bob has connected, but he hasn't called in yet. So I'm going to keep on dragging this out a little bit longer to see if I can get him to dial in. And I'm actually going to kind of Skype him. Oh, where'd he go? He went away. Maybe he's not ready. All right. So anyways, again, ideas for shows. I love it. We've been getting lots of questions about some old shows, and that's good too. And keep those coming as well. And if we get a question about libraries, we're actually setting up a whole thing where we can download libraries. I was starting to work on that before everything kind of broke a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to continue down that. And all the things I was doing in here, in the studio area also, kind of just get dropped all of a sudden because of what happened. So I started doing a little cleanup. You can't really see much of the mess here, all the conversions that we're doing inside of here. So one thing I do also want to thank you. I noticed when I was kind of sitting in the hospital with my wife that the Amazon thing's actually doing pretty decent. So I do want to appreciate everybody who's buying things through Amazon. I mean, it's not a lot of money. It's 20 cents here, 40 cents there, but it adds up over time. And it helps us to buy new things to play with around here, and to get you new parts to show you how things work and stuff like that. So I see Jeff's back in the chat room. So let me see if I can get hold of Bob here. He's back on. All right, I sent him a Skype. We'll see what he says. Not answering. All right, so we may just be a really short show tonight without Bob, because Bob was the show tonight. And I know he had a meeting, and maybe it just ran over for him or something. He didn't get a chance to get back in time to call in. So we're definitely back next Monday, and if by the time I'm done here, Bob doesn't get back on, then we'll do what he was going to do next week. And like I said, our list of things is growing, but we'd like to have more of it. Maybe start doing more than one thing in a week as well. And I mentioned this before about the other CPUs, which I think I should have more time here soon to start playing with that now that this craziness for the last 3 weeks has been gone. And as summer comes along, things kind of slow down for me as well. So that helps give me more time into doing things I need to get done around here and for the show. So anyways, that's going to be it for this week. Sorry, nothing major. I just wanted to make sure everybody know we're still around and we're back onto our regular schedule starting this week, next week, whatever. We'll be back again on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And thank you all for your patience in the 3 weeks that we were out here. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks. For show notes for this show, contacts, and more, go to the TechZen.tv website where you can get show notes for all of our shows. We love to hear from our viewers and listeners. We have an email, a Twitter, and a phone number where you can contact us for each show. For details, visit the TechZen.tv website and get the show details. You can also make a video and upload it somewhere like YouTube or Vimeo, and then just send us a link. You never know, you may see your video in a future show. You can get all of our shows delivered automatically to your favorite device by going to your favorite podcast website like iTunes and subscribing. Each of our shows also has a YouTube channel you can subscribe to get regular updates. Our shows are also available on most internet radio networks like Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. You can also watch and listen to our shows on Xbox, TiVo, and Roku. You can even find us on your Zune.